Hi there, Josh here. Welcome to FramesPerSecond. Today we're shooting the Hasselblad X Pan again, and we'll be shooting some Fuji Pro 400H. Now, this one expired, I think, 10 years ago-ish, so I'm going to overexpose it quite a bit. So I'll probably meter it at 100 or 200. We'll see how we go. But anyway, just walking around Brisbane, and let's go. So earlier this year, Pro 400H was discontinued and it quickly ran out in 35mm. Now I still have 2 rolls of 120 and 1 fresh roll of 35mm left, but I did have 2 rolls of expired Fuji Pro 400H. So this is one of them, and obviously being expired, there is a little bit more grain, particularly in the shadows, but for the film that it is, it's always been good for overexposing, especially with the highlights. It's a film that I think needs more light than 400 ISO suggests, so I usually meter it at 200 or 100. Fuji Pro 400H is definitely one of the more accurate films when it comes to what you're seeing, and while it does come off a bit understated rather than saturated, the colors look incredibly natural, and it's something that I would definitely miss with this film being gone, though I don't shoot it that much just because I do prefer Kodak film. But on shots like this, it's where it really shines, just how the red looks, that blue trimming on the building. It is a gorgeous film as far as color goes, and I think it's a film that definitely was kind of undersung, and part of that was because it was a little bit more expensive than Kodak Portra, and also just because it is a much more muted and pastel-y kind of look, which isn't something I go for often, though there definitely is a place, and this shot looks gorgeous. Those colors come out really nice, but in a way I kind of like how it looks more in direct sunlight because it just comes off as punchier. And while you can definitely add more warmth and saturation to it, though it could be a good base if you like to adjust your film a lot, I just personally prefer a warmer and more contrasty look, which is why I actually love Kodak Gold. But this is a film that I do kind of regret not shooting enough, and I really do wish I could have had the chance to buy a few more rolls, particularly in 35, just because I want to get more shots out of it. And shots like this one, I do like quite a bit, though definitely the expiration is really taking a hit at those shadows, as you can see in his jacket. But I still thought that's probably my favorite shot on this roll, maybe that and the shawarma sign. And this shot's pretty good too. I definitely did overexpose it just because it does need a lot more light, and so that did kind of help with the shadows a bit more with this one, but there's still a little bit more grain than it usually would have if it was fresh. Yeah, I am gonna miss this film. Even though I didn't shoot it a lot, I definitely had some on hand when I was ready to use it for particular circumstances. Now this shot, as far as the widescreen goes, is a little bit off, a bit too much to the left, but we did get a photo of this good boy. And here we have a random sub on the river, and just how the blues look is something that Pro 400H does really well, and it's just something that will be kind of missing just because Portra 400 is more about those earthy tones than the greens and the blues that you can get out of Pro 400H. And then here we have another good boy just chilling in the window just there. Now, we were starting to lose some light, so I do end up finishing the rest of this roll another day because we needed the light, just because it was more than a decade old, and I wasn't entirely sure of how it was stored. I think it was kept in a fridge, but I could be wrong. But there's always nice old buildings around. And here, this is where the kind of cooler color temperature kind of pays off, because with this on Portra I don't think would have looked as nice, and I just think that the cooler color definitely has a place, and there's definitely times to use this film over Portra 400, and I do kind of wish I had more rolls, but the roll I do have left I am saving for particular videos, so hopefully I can get around to that next year. This is another shot that I liked quite a lot, and the colors come out beautifully here. Got the ambulance, the paramedic and his outfit, and then over on the left, which is kind of why I like this frame as well, is the high-vis shirts, which kind of match the ambulance. Now I will say with this roll, I didn't always get the best composition for the widescreen. There were a lot of times where there was a lot of blank space more to one side than the other, and also part of that is because it was a 45mm lens and I was a bit afraid of getting too close. Now this kind of scene I liked quite a bit because these guys were fixing up a sign, and I decided to tilt it a little bit to see if I could get it like the ladder was flat, but it didn't really turn out exactly flat, but I still kind of like how it turned out, and it's just a nice street moment that you don't see every day. Now here's another example of how good Pro 400H is with color. Just the yellow of the shirt, the orange of the skirt, the red of the light, and just those clothes on the rack. The colors come out wonderfully, and that the color temperature once again looks great. Even if it was still around, I probably wouldn't shoot it as much as I probably should, because it is a great film stock. When it's fresh, the grain is fine. And here, just even the reds come off quite nice, and contrast with the blue shirt and the silver kind of chairs. And then this shot I thought was an interesting scene with the guy and all the motorbikes, and I feel like this is where the widescreen frame did pay off, because you're getting all these bikes to the left and right of him as well, though unfortunately the feet are a little bit cropped, and so I had a bit too much headroom, which was unfortunate. It's sad that we don't have more Pro 400H to use. That fourth color layer did add something unique and special to it, but I'm just happy I did have another roll to shoot and that I could have put it through the X Pan, because the colors of these shots look quite fantastic, and it's sad to see it go. Hopefully I can get my hand on a few more rolls, but we'll see. It was nice having Pro 400H while we did, and there's definitely a gap being left behind as far as film stocks that really give you true to life natural colors. So long, Pro 400H and 2021. That's all the time we have for today. Please let me know your thoughts on the camera, film, the images in the comments below. Feel free to like and subscribe, turn on those post notifications so when there's a new episode. Anyway, I'm Josh. This has been Frames Per Second. Hope you've been enjoying the X-Men content. And just get out there, shoot some film.